No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to.
We'll start that over again. Yeah. Robert Davis, R-O-B-E-R-T. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Guthrie branch of the Scottish Rite Masons in Oklahoma. So we have the wonderful privilege in our fraternity to own the only legislative hall that Oklahoma had prior to Oklahoma City becoming the state capital. We are standing in the first legislative hall of the legislature of Oklahoma. It was the only legislative hall that that Oklahoma had prior to the removal of the state capital to Oklahoma City in 1910. Guthrie was the territorial capital of Oklahoma, established that after the land run of 1889. Because of this continuing fight over whether the permanent government would be, housed in Guthrie, Oklahoma City, the territorial government never built a legislative hall. So all the legislative sessions that were held during the territories were held in the upstairs rooms of buildings in downtown Guthrie. So when President Roosevelt issued the statehood proclamation naming Oklahoma State on November 16, 1907, well, everybody hustled around to see if they could build a legislative hall so they actually could establish some sense of permanence here in Guthrie as the state capital. The hall, as you see it today, looks differently than the original hall because this banquet hall was divided into two sections. There was a hallway that was 16 feet wide that ran east and west from the east to the west edge of the buildings, and there were entrances on both of those elevations as well as north and south entrances, so you could actually come into the legislative hall from all four sides of the property. And so the state senate met in this wing of this floor. The House of Representatives met in this wing of the floor. And then there were public galleries, and you can see elements of the public galleries upstairs here that were located behind those wood banisters. In 1910, Governor Haskell called an election to determine whether or not the permanent state capital would remain in Guthrie or would be located in Oklahoma City or Shawnee. And even though the Enabling Act said that the state capital could not be removed from Guthrie until 1913, the election was held, and when it became clear to Governor Haskell that Oklahoma City was going to win the popular vote as to the location of the capital, then he called his Secretary of State, W.B. Anthony, to come to Guthrie and pick up the state seal from the governor's office and meet him at the Huckins Hotel in Oklahoma City, where he had established the new governor's office temporarily. And so almost in a day, everything changed in Guthrie again, and we lost the Capitol building. It's just such a remarkably unique and distinctive designation to be the original legislative hall of the first state government in Oklahoma, and to have the privilege of owning that building. And it's so much the central theme of everything that the city of Guthrie always was and still is. I mean, they have the distinctive privilege of not only being the territorial capital and the first state capital of Oklahoma, but they have preserved the Victorian architecture, which was a part of that entire era. And for this legislative hall to be a centerpiece of everything that Guthrie represents and the heritage that Oklahoma gets from this community is very important to us as Masons, being a private organization that was here in the beginning ourselves. And so it's important to us that we preserve this, and more importantly, that we open it up to the public and let future Oklahomans and those who visit the territorial first state capital enjoy it as well.